Remote synchronization, positive. Program line bus number 1 is hot. Standby, COM2. Standby. Satellite feed is live, in 3, 2, 1. Go SAT.
Embedded with elements of the 1st Marine Division, this is CyberNet reporting from northern Iraq. According to coalition intelligence sources, an event of significant proportions occurred earlier today in relation to NATO's expeditionary action inside Syria. My cameraman and I have been assigned to a reconnaissance company that is currently in transit to an undisclosed location in the Kurdistan region. Our column is expected to reach its destination sometime during the night. However, as evidenced by this B-roll footage shot only minutes ago, our trek has not been without incident. A sudden and dramatic increase in insurgent activity along the road net has created an unanticipated hazard that is delaying our progress. When and if possible, I will post updates to this developing story via remote satellite link from the field. With photojournalist Macro Lens, this is CyberNet reporting for the virtual news network somewhere northeast of Tikrit.
Anno Domini, 2008. With the coming of the new year, the world finds itself in the midst of many cultural and ideological changes, especially within the tumultuous region of the Middle East. In Afghanistan, the Taliban regime has been removed from power, and the Al-Qaeda terrorist network relegated to nothing more than a tragic memory. In Iraq, the people are well on their way to a free and open society as democratic reforms begin to take shape. On the surface, international tensions appear to have eased. However, as history reminds us, appearances can be deceiving. In the Western Hemisphere of Europe and North America, something sinister, albeit intangible, lurks in the heavy winter air. However, it is the worsening global economy that takes center stage. In several of these countries, forced cutbacks in government-sponsored entitlements spawn a proliferation in protests and riots that are far more disconcerting to the general public than the prospect of renewed terrorist activity. Problematic domestic issues distract the populace. The date is February 29th. The Gregorian calendar's eccentric day of leap year. Having successfully infiltrated 6 Western nations, multiple independent terrorist cells from an as yet unidentified fundamentalist faction in the Middle East simultaneously detonate a series of conventional explosives within the heart of 14 metropolitan zones. Though the devices themselves do relatively little damage, their payloads are another more serious matter. Laden with processed uranium, these dirty bombs disperse radioactive debris into the atmosphere of the targeted municipalities, including the U.S. cities of New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, and San Francisco. Upon exposing millions of inhabitants to airborne nuclear waste and poisoning the surrounding environment for decades to come, the fundamentalist cells melt back into the urban landscape. The world's worst nightmare has been realized. The specter of nuclear terrorism has finally arrived. For the people of the world, this infamous date will go down in history as the Leap Year Day atrocity. Within weeks, the intelligence community of the enraged victim nations positively identified the culprits of this insidious attack, as well as their base of operations. Their sanctuary nation? Syria. The Syrian regime publicly denies culpability, yet, in a contradictory act devoid of contrition, proceed to mobilize their nation for war. Refusing to cooperate with international authorities by denying the existence of the rogue faction and nuclear materials within its borders, it's not long before Syria finds itself isolated. Military forces of NATO and the coalition of Arab states promptly surround the nation. At this precise moment in time, the Omar Salukbah regime in Iran chooses to interject itself into the dispute on Syria's behalf by issuing unrealistic demands and veiled threats that only serve to propagate tensions. On June 16th, the Syrians suspend all diplomatic dialogue. At 2200 hours that evening, NATO launches Operation Imminent Thunder, with 3 days of preliminary airstrikes on the military infrastructure within that nation. The stage was now set for the conflict that the Arabic world itself would coin the Battle of Last Resort. On the morning of June 19, 2008, the ground invasion of Syria commences in earnest. Bolstered by newly arrived units, the bulk of those NATO security forces already stationed in Iraq proceed to cross the Syrian frontier. Their mission is to sweep eastward, bisecting the nation north from south, while an armored task force pins down the elite Republican Guard near the capital city of Damascus. Concurrently, another formation recently deployed to Turkey sweeps down from the north to intercept those Syrian forces attempting to reinforce the south. They are aided in this mission by a division of U.S. Marines that make landings along the Mediterranean coast and proceed to push inland. The overall effect is shocking and comprehensive. Although the Syrian army puts up a courageous fight, they are simply outmatched in command, equipment, and training. The Damascus regime soon finds itself under siege, not only from NATO, but also from a populace seeking liberty. As intended, the operation also succeeds in segregating the fugitive terrorist faction within the region ironically labeled Al Jazeera, the island. As of mid-July, the campaign appears to be approaching its climax. However, as history so often reminds us, appearances can be deceiving. Like so many other days throughout the world's long history of war, the ensuing struggle against state-sponsored terrorism will consist of numerous battles and skirmishes. This is the story of one such encounter between U.S. forces and those of an unforeseen adversary. Although this scenario and engagement were both completely fictitious in nature, having taken place upon the virtual battlefield of a personal computer, the combat itself was still no less real, no less tasking, nor any less lethal to those virtual soldiers who participated in the confrontation. This is his story, and his story. This is history. This is Tales of Virtual Combat.